Julio Jones, Tommy Tremble, Royce Freeman, Andrew Beck, and the great Simi Fehoko all scored touchdowns this week. Kaderil Hodge led the Falcons in receiving, and who the hell is that? Josh Dobbs is a Viking, and the New York Football Giants threw for -9 yards. Welcome to another week of I Hate Fantasy Football. Simi Fehoko. Welcome back to 3 and Out, a fantasy football podcast where three dads talk about stuff that is apparently way beyond our comprehension. If you saw what we did last week, it was bad, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your co-host, Wayne Cavati, and joining me, as always, is Chris Fiamano and Mike Dutton. FanDuel fee, -9 yards passing.
Yeah, you're talking about them. Yeah. I actually went to the game with my family, and it was a fun time. We had good fun, but we got rained on a lot, and of course the Giants lost, which we didn't get to stay to the end to see, but we heard about it on the radio.
So that's good enough.
Probably better that you weren't there to watch the demise.
And Dutton, the good news for you is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed John Wofford today. That'll show them, huh?
That's going to fix everything. It's going to right the ship.
Well, we got a busy week. Obviously, the trade deadline was yesterday. We're going to talk to that. But before we get to it, even if it's 30 people that listen to our show or 100 people that listen to our show, we have a platform with a voice, and we should use this platform to do good. And there are enough people listening that I feel we do have that responsibility to make a positive change. And that's why I think we should use this podcast on a weekly basis to plea Arthur Blank to fire Arthur Smith. Okay, this guy. We run a fantasy football podcast, and this schlub is out there every week. How are you not offended? He just, every answer's, leave it to the fantasy football guys. Well, guess what? Artie, we'll call you Artie. Artie, that okay? We are the fantasy football guys. You suck at your job. You are out-coached by a 9-year-old playing Madden on a headset with like a 58-year-old, okay? You are out-coached. You think you're the smartest man in the room, and that's because I'm only assuming you grew up entitled with the silver spoon in your mouth because of your dad. And what the Falcons need to do is FedEx your ass out of the city. You don't even deserve a right to get another head coaching job anywhere. You talk down to people. You are rude. Fiamano renamed, well, he didn't mean to, but we renamed the Ass Hat of the Year award after Urban Meyer because he ruined 3 careers. James Robinson has never been good again. We are watching Arthur Smith do that to people that are way better than James Robinson ever was. I'm sorry. I had to get that off my chest. Gentlemen, what do we think? We're going to leave it to the fantasy football people. What do we think about Artie Smith?
I think everything you said is right. I really have to understand why his tight end was running the ball the other day when he has Bijan Robinson.
Hey, I leave that to the fantasy football people. I put my 3rd-string tight end in the backfield to throw to my 1st-string tight end, who's actually just blocking, so I'm going to throw to my 2nd-string tight end anyway and leave 3 first-round draft picks right over here. But I'm going to let the fantasy people do that.
So nobody gets hurt. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Maybe that's his big deal. Maybe he's just protecting them for next year's coach. Let's go with it.
Yeah. Fee.
How hasn't he gotten fired? How does Josh McDaniels, actually, I know how Josh McDaniels got fired, but how does Arthur Smith not get fired, but Josh McDaniels does? He's just as bad, actually, probably worse. And his attitude is just kind of ridiculous. I mean, you said it. And you're right. I mean, he's got so many weapons, to use, and he's not using them at all. Maybe it's, because of the fantasy football people. Maybe it's, maybe he's like, you know what, I'm screwing all of them.
It's just a cop-out. It's a cop-out to say, I don't know what I'm doing. Right? Because he doesn't. Right. It doesn't make sense. That tight end play was the perfect example. It's like, what is going on?
And maybe Arthur Blank is keeping him around is because his name is Arthur.
Arthur Blank is just absurdly loyal for no reason. We saw Dan Quinn expire his time. I was surprised they got rid of Matt Ryan. I thought that they would just run him into the ground. But he's uncharacteristically loyal for what an owner should be in this league. So let's go on, because you already mentioned one of the names we got to talk about and buy it or BS this week. So I'm going to skip down our list here, gentlemen, our off-screen list, and let's get started with the great Josh McDaniels. Obviously, this is Wednesday night. He was fired this morning, technically speaking, at like 1:15
East Coast time.
But it wasn't just Josh McDaniels, it was the GM
and the offensive coordinator too.
And that's a very good point. So my question isn't that. We'll get to the details in a minute, but Dutton, we'll start with you. Buy it or BS? Josh McDaniels, really, that was his last straw, and he should never have another NFL head coaching job again.
I'm buying it. It's time. Here's the deal. I think, and somebody will tell me I'm wrong, but I'm going to be close. I think Belichick assistants are 58 and 60 as head coaches, which is not even 500, right? Josh McDaniels has had, 2 go-rounds as head coach. Both of them have failed. I don't look. He's a great offensive coordinator when there's a guy named Tom Brady that you're calling plays for. That's what he proved to us, right? And it sounds like a lot of them were great offensive coordinators because they were calling plays for Tom Brady. So, I think Josh McDaniels is done. I mean, there's a lot going on with the Raiders that we can talk about, but to answer your question, Josh McDaniels, I wouldn't see him as a head coach again.
Pete.
Yeah, I buy it too. There's no chance he should be a head coach ever again. An offensive coordinator, sure. I mean, I guess that's fine. The real problem here, well, not that it's a problem, because Jimmy Garoppolo is terrible. And he should be benched. But the question is it because of Josh McDaniels and that offensive coordinator that he was so bad, or is it just because he's really bad? And it's kind of hard to tell for me. But the bottom line is they have that offense installed and he's not good in it. So, I mean, I think he obviously very clearly needed to be benched.
Yeah. Yeah. And the coach is a former Giant, Antonio Pierce. And maybe he's just like, look, we're doing it my way, right? Like, I'm going to put my stamp on this right from the get-go. And Dutton, you said before, maybe he's auditioning for a real head coach job. Maybe, let's say this works out for 3 games and everyone's all of a sudden like, okay, this guy's, he knows what he's doing.
I mean, his press conference today was interesting. I mean, he said, I'm going to bring swag. We're going to walk out on that field and people are going to know we're here. And that's what he's got to do.
Raiders, right? Isn't that what
right.
the Raiders are supposed to be?
I had the thought when I heard about all this with Antonio Pierce, I had the thought that he would just go out there and just sling it. Just throw the ball. I don't care who the quarterback is, Aiden O'Connell, whatever, and just throw it every single time. Run crazy, ridiculous trick plays and just go absolutely nuts. And just, go crazy about it.
Why not? You got nothing to lose at this point, right?
And they got weapons on offense. You got Jacobs.
Yes, they do.
You got Devontae Adams. You got Jacoby Myers. I mean,
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it seems I think the main point that Dutton made is Josh McDaniels got head coaching jobs because he was a great offensive coordinator for Tom Brady, which just about anybody could have been a great offensive coordinator for Tom Brady, and we're quickly learning that more and more. We're going to go to the Giants, and Fee, we'll let you start. Even though the trade deadline's over and he obviously didn't get traded, before talks even arose, the Giants said that Saquon Barkley is off the market. The only way that they're going to have money to lock up Barkley long-term is to get a large contract off the books, possibly after a year. What do you think this means about Danny Dimes' future? Is it you think he's going to be a not finish out the contract cut?
I'm not sure, but they have plenty of money and plenty of cap space. They can sign Barkley, no problem.
No problem.
Even with Daniel Jones' contract on the books. The question is, first of all, he's locked up through next year, regardless. It's after next year that they'll be able to cut him if they want to. The question is, what do you do at the end of this year with the draft? And, because are you bad enough? Are you top 3 to get a quarterback? Do you draft a quarterback in the first round if you have that high of a pick and cut bait with Daniel Jones. I mean, he'd obviously be the starter for 1 year, and whoever they drafted would sit behind him for a year, and they bring him in after that. But I mean, I don't know. I have no idea which way they're going to go. Honestly, even in my opinion, I don't even know which way I'd want them to go. To be honest, they have so many holes on so many different positions on that team that, like, I mean, I don't even know what they should do, what the answer is. Obviously quarterback is the most important position. And if you have an opportunity to draft one of those top two guys, then I guess maybe you do it. But then you're screwing yourself for the rest of the positions that you need, help with also. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Dutton, Danny Dimes' future is bleak in New York. Buy it or BS?
I'm buying it. I think Daniel Jones and Jordan Love have 10 games to audition for their spot the rest of this season. I really do. The GM of the Packers basically said that about Jordan Love today, and I don't think the Giants are saying it out loud, but if the Giants finish high enough where they can grab a quarterback, they're going to get a quarterback, because the Jets have Aaron Rodgers next year. The Giants are not going to want to hear about that. I mean, I watched Daniel Jones down here at Duke. I just don't think he's NFL material. I don't. I think his accuracy is a thing. I think he's athletic, but I don't know. So I think the next 10 games are very telling for what the Giants are going to do moving forward. And, I mean, so who's their backup this weekend again? Is it DeVito? Because if Jones gets hurt, right, then DeVito comes in and he doesn't throw the ball. Right. Okay.
It is DeVito, yes.
And then they don't throw the ball the entire game.
That's not good. I think what you both touched on is the key, and I think even let's say they fix the offensive line, let's say they sign Barkley long term, so now Daniel Jones has an offensive line and a running back. I don't think his ceiling is better than Caleb Williams or the kid from North Carolina.
No.
So why would you not go after them and try to get that franchise quarterback? Even though, admit you made a mistake. What would it cost you? 40, 45 million to cut him? Yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's a cap hit that's worth taking if you could build a team.
Prime example number one, the Eagles signing Carson Wentz to a massive contract, and then the following year drafting Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it can be done.
It can be done.
And who's to say the Giants don't end up trading him somehow in the offseason, right? There's enough quarterbacks getting banged up out there that somebody's going to need a backup quarterback or something. So trade him and maybe split the salary so it's only a little bit of hit to the Giants and whatever. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, there'd have to be someone they'd have to take on some of that salary.
I think all of that hinges directly upon their draft position.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is the next 10 games. Right.
Because they're not going to trade up into a 1, 2, 3 spot to pick up one of those quarterbacks. No matter what, they'll just stick with Daniel Jones and ride him out.
Let's move on. They're on a bye this week, so it's a weird question, but he's had 2 games in a row that he's kind of been the workhorse. Do we buy, Dutton, we're going to start with you, buy it or BS? It is time. It is okay to trust Javonte Williams again in that Denver offense.
I think it is. I really do. I mean, Russell, as much as we bang on Russell, he's got good stats this year. And let's be fair, the Broncos are going to be in games. Whether they win them or not is up to them. But I think offensively, they're going to be able to score points. And I think it hinges on Javonte Williams being able to run the ball well, which then open up the pass game for Russell. So, yeah, I think you can rely on Javonte Williams moving forward.
B?
Yeah, I agree with everything Dutton just said. I mean, their defense is so bad that their offense is really going to carry their team, and they're going to be on the field a lot, right? So, I think Javonte Williams is definitely a serviceable guy going forward for sure.
Yeah, it looks like he's the RB1 again. Jaleel McLaughlin was a nice little story when they needed him, and he had a couple good games, but I think it's the Javonte Williams show. Rachaad White, the question is Rachaad White must start material, and I'm going to throw out here why. Rachaad White can't rush for yards, but he's kind of become this Austin Eckler light, right? He's getting like 8 to 10 targets a game. And he is in a PPR league, he's getting you 15 to 18 points a week just recently in this new kind of role he's found. So Dutton, obviously we got to start with you on this one again, because it's the Bucks. Is Rachaad White must start all of a sudden?
I don't know if he's must start, but I definitely think he's in your rotation of looking at, hey, I have 3 running backs and I'm starting 2. Look at the matchup of Rachaad White. I also think it depends, like, in our league that the three of us are in, with half PPR, you're losing a lot of points. You know what I'm saying? But full PPR, absolutely. So yeah, I think a lot depends on league scoring, matchups. But yeah, he's definitely way more talked about than you thought he would be at the beginning of the year.
Absolutely. Fee.
Uh, I feel like I want to say BS on this. I mean, I don't know, and I guess Dutton really kind of touched on it. It's really dependent on opponent and spot, I guess, that Tampa Bay is going to be in and who they're playing. If you're going to start Rashad White. So is he must start material? Probably not, but he's definitely a guy that you kind of have in your rotation if you have an injury or if you have bye weeks or something like that.
Yeah. And he it's like I said, it comes down to the past. Dutton, good point on that. If you're standard, he loses way more value than
Right.
Like it's like nothing. I'm going to throw one at you here because you guys are kind of, over the years we've been fans of him, and I just thought of it now. Buy it or BS. If you're in a pinch, we'll talk about buys in a little bit. But if you're in a pinch, is it Tyler Heineke fantasy football starting quarterback week? Fee, buy it or BS. You could start Heineke with trust.
I'm gonna buy it, and here's why. Actually, no, wait a minute. I'm thinking about the wrong team. Heineke's with Atlanta, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the wrong team. What I was going to say was if your coach gets fired, your team ends up playing harder the next game. But that's the wrong team. Their coach
could be if they fire Arthur Smith.
Hasn't been fired yet. I want to say yes because I like Heineke and I feel like he would be a good fit in that offense. But who the hell knows with Arthur Smith what's going to happen? So I'm going to say no. No, he's not.
No, because of Arthur Smith, no. Go get Will Levis and start him because
I don't even think he's good.
Love him. The Titans love him.
Once Arthur Smith gets fired, though, look out for those Falcons.
It's crazy that
Bijan's going to rush for 250 yards a game when he gets fired.
Kyle Pitts may catch 20 balls.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me that Antonio Pierce has been coach for 18 hours. He has a much higher paid proven winner of a quarterback. I'm not saying Jimmy G is great, but he is a proven winner. And he's like, dude, hit the bench. And Arthur is out here making he's not only is he making every excuse for Desmond Ridder, he's like, well, we had to take him out of the game because he was hurt. Yeah, but the tent said he was cleared. I know he was cleared, so we took him out of the game because Heineke was doing better. Well, which one was it? I'm going to leave it to the fantasy guys. What are you talking about? Like, is he hurt? Anyway, sorry, this guy gets me all up, man.
Understandable.
Let's before we move on to the locks of the week, there was really no way to shape this in a buy it or BS, but just real quick thoughts on the trade deadline. Josh Dobbs, obviously, to the Vikings. There was a lot more defense, right? But Josh Dobbs to the Vikings. The Browns traded to the Lions, right? People Jones to the Lions. What were your thoughts? Who were even defense included? Who were the winners and the losers to you? Who do you think won the deadline?
49ers win. Chase Young on the defensive line is tremendous. You have Bosa and Young. Good luck anybody trying to block both of those guys at the same time.
And didn't they just trade for Randy Gregory too, like a week ago?
I think they might have. No, maybe.
I think so.
But the losers are the Bears, and here's why. Why are you trading a second-round pick for DeAndre or whatever Sweat?
Yeah.
When Devontae Sweat, when you could have picked him up as a free agent in the offseason because he's not signing with the Commanders at the end of the year. Like, I just think it's a waste of a draft pick for a team that are they going to sign him at the end of the year? I don't know. So that's where I'm worried about the Bears, but 49ers are my winners.
And that's what the Bears did this last year to us. Remember, they traded their two top defenders, and then the next day went and got Claypool. It's like, wait,
right?
What are you doing? Right? Fee.
Was Montez Sweat on the last year of his contract?
Yeah, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Well, they could always franchise tag him.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that the Bears did that. I feel like they're kind of making moves towards shoring up their defense for sure. They didn't get rid of Johnson, who's the best cornerback, who's like a top 5 corner in the league. And it just kind of signals to me that they kind of like their team, and they have 2, really big first round picks coming up year. I feel like the Bears can do big things next year. I mean, I don't know what it means for this year. Probably not much. But they could do a lot of things next year, especially if they franchise tag Sweat or sign him, one or the other. But they have tons of cap space too, so it's not like they don't have the money to do it. But it's the Niners for sure. Making that trade and shoring up that defensive line is going to be massive for them. If they can get Debo back healthy and get Purdy back in the right mindset, they're definitely going to be a team to look out for, like we thought they were earlier, before they lost 3 games in a row. So it's the Niners.
I mean, they're an all-pro team, right? Like, if they click, it's over. Like, it's not even going to be close. There's an all-pro in every level.
Right.
Yeah, the 49ers, that was a good trade for them. All right, let's move on to locks of the week, where what did we do last week, gentlemen? I got to look real quick. We lost, right? Yeah, we took the Texans. And
We lost. I won.
You won. Fee won. Okay, so maybe we want to listen to Fee this week. So, Fee, we'll start with you.
Okay. So I have a contingency pick.
Okay.
If Dobbs starts for the Vikings, I like the Vikings plus 4.5 against Atlanta. We talked about how we don't like Atlanta. I don't care who their starting quarterback is. The Vikings getting 4.5 points. I just like that. Especially if Dobbs is their quarterback, but I don't know if he's going to start. It may be whoever that is, Jaron, somebody or other. So my other pick is Carolina plus 2.5 against the Colts. And I just like the spot for Carolina. The Colts, I just think that I think they figured something out on offense, Carolina, with Bryce Young. Their offensive coordinator started moving him around. He's running a little bit more. He's getting time to throw the ball. And it looks like he's doing halfway decent. So I like them to continue that against the Colts this week.
Okay. Dutton.
Raiders -2 against the Giants. Antonio Pierce is going to have that team fired up, and I don't think the Giants are ready for it.
I didn't like any of the spreads this week. I honestly didn't. Like, I'm not even going to give a lock of the week. Like, when we vote here, because I think all these games are garbage. Every one of them. I could see the Colts winning that game because Carolina's rush defense is really bad, and Jonathan Taylor looks like he's really ready for that game. I can see the Vikings winning because Heineke's back there and they finally connect, right? Like, it could be the complete flip. Raiders, who knows what the heck's going to happen there. And the Browns, it sounds like it's PJ Walker again, but the Cardinals, Billy Zane, who's the guy who's quarterbacking for the Cardinals? Like John Dane? I don't even know who it is.
True. What's his name? True something or other.
Yeah, Trumaine. Harry S. Trumaine. Anyway, I'm taking the Browns and the guy that we don't know a quarterback. Who do we want to lock in? I have no vote. If I need to break it, I will.
I think I'd go with the Raiders. Actually, I like that. What Dutton said about Antonio Pierce having them fired up to and with Aiden O'Connell starting it. The Giants are just bad. It just makes sense.
So that's 2 for the Raiders. I don't need to vote. I'm good with it.
There you go.
Fee, let's try to win some money here. I've been getting my butt kicked, but last week I did go with one of your stacks, but the week before I didn't. I went against you and I lost. But last week was just a weird week in DFS. There weren't a lot of scores.
Last week was tough. There was a lot, there was 13 teams, so it was very spread out.
Yeah. So why don't you give us before Fee starts? Remember, this is Wednesday, and you got some big buys here, fantasy wise, in the Broncos, the Lions, the Jaguars, and the 49ers. So Fee, give us what you got this week.
All right. I'm going to start us off with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. They are 2 of the highest salaried quarterback and receivers on the slate. But Dallas's defense, and particularly their secondary, is banged up, and they're giving up a lot of yards in the air. And with Hurts a little nicked up, I don't know that he's going to want to run so much. And AJ Brown has just been killing it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that just continues. I mean, you're going to pay a lot of money for them, but also maybe not a lot of people will, because they don't want to spend that amount of money. So the Hurts AJ Brown stack with the CeeDee Lamb comeback, especially with how poor the Eagles defensive secondary has been also, I feel like could be an interesting play. I also had some issues this week trying to come up with some good stacks. There's a lot of teams not on the main slate this week. And so it was kind of a rough go of it. But the only other stack that I like this week, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, is Bryce Young to Adam Thielen against the Colts. He's only 6,900, super cheap for a quarterback. Thielen's up at 8,300, but he's the most consistent, one of the most consistent receivers in the league. And if you really wanted to, you could come back with either Jonathan Taylor. Wayne talked about Jonathan Taylor, crushing it on the ground, especially against Carolina's defense, or maybe even Josh Downs, with Gardner Minshew throwing him the ball. So I like that stack in that game this week. A couple of one-offs that I like this week. Because I like New England to beat Washington this week, especially because of the way Washington has depleted their defense. I really like Ramondre Stevenson, only 6,200 this week. So that I feel like that's a pretty good value play right there. And on the other side of that ball, because again, same issue, because they depleted their defense, their offense is going to have to throw the ball a lot. So I really like Jahan Dotson at 5,900 against New England this week. So salary and opportunity there are going to help you.
Yeah, it is a tough week. Why not take a chance at that Bryce one, especially with him so cheap? You can get JT in there, and you probably can get someone else big at flex. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to starts and sits. We got one right last week, gentlemen. One. And was Trevor Lawrence's sit. I'm not sure you want to listen to me. I didn't watch any football last week, and with thrilling matchups like the Giants and Raiders, Titans and Steelers, and Chargers and Jets, and Colts and Panthers, all in primetime slots, there's a good chance I'm not going to watch this week. And the week after, we get the thrilling Panthers and Bears on Thursday night to be followed by the Jets and Raiders on Sunday night. And so I can't even promise I'm going to watch in week 10. So Fee, we're gonna start our starts and sits again. The Broncos, Lions, Jaguars, and 49ers are all on bye. So we do have a little digging to do. Fee, we're gonna what's that? Breaking news. We just got news from the injury report, and nobody freaking practiced today. So that's gonna help everyone on their starts and sits because nobody practices anymore. Everyone was limited. Okay. Remember, it's Wednesday night. By tomorrow, they may change to lightly participated, but wasn't at the
questionable.
So, Fee, get us started. You already talked about him. Just bounce him off and go.
Yeah, Bryce Young is my start against Indianapolis. They are 24th in the league versus the quarterback.
Yeah, Dutton.
Well, when we did this, Wayne took mine, so I'm going with CJ Stroud against the Bucs because the Bucs can stop the run, but they can't stop the pass.
Yeah, I was actually going to go with Stroud or the guy that I picked. So Derek Carr is who I picked against the Bears. Yes, the Bears made a nice trade. I still think that Derek Carr gets his. He's got two receivers. He's got three receivers when you look at Kamara because he's a receiver. Let's not kid ourselves. Who do we want to lock in?
I like Carr because you took it from me.
I like Carr too. I like that. Yeah, I liked Carr also before I made my pick.
Yeah, starting running backs this week, it's stupid to pick, right? Like, okay, here's what I looked at. The Panthers are the worst fantasy defense against the running back this year. Of course, you're going to start Jonathan Taylor. No shit. The Broncos are the 31st worst. They're on a bye. The Cardinals are the 30th playing the Browns. You want any part of that shit show in your backfield in fantasy? So we're not going to tell you to start anyone there. The Colts, they're playing the Panthers. Ooh, I can't wait to get Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders in my lineup, right? And it's like the Raiders are playing the Giants. Oh, yeah, I'm going to tell you to sit Saquon Barkley after his best game of the year. It's like there's no good matchup this week to tell you what to do. So let's make something up. Dutton.
I'm going with Gus Bus against the Seahawks because there's no way that the guy can't match 3 2-yard touchdowns again like he did last week.
Yeah, that was a great game. Fate.
I spoke about him a little earlier. I really like Ramondre Stevenson against Washington now that their defense is depleted.
All right, I'm going Deontay Foreman against the Saints, and my reason is because I don't have one. I don't.
There
I
you
didn't know who to pick. I shot a name out of the hat, and that's
I like Stevenson. I like that pick.
I hope so. I have him in my league, and he's stunk all year. Wide receiver, I'm going with the Bourne identity against Washington. Kendrick Bourne. He's turned into a nice player, and it seems like the Patriots are at least getting some semblance of an offense now. Dutton.
Well, if he's going to talk about mine, so let him go first, and then I'll tell you mine.
Well, okay. So I'm starting Devontae Adams, and I know that's not some sort of big shock because if you have Devontae Adams, you're most likely starting him, although he's been pretty crappy lately.
He had one catch for 11 yards last week.
Yeah. And so if you're thinking about sitting him, don't.
Right.
You should continue to start him, especially against the Giants, especially with a new coach, especially with Aiden O'Connell throwing them the ball.
Which is why I'm starting Jacoby Myers because I think the Raiders are just going to throw the ball all over the field on Sunday.
Say the nickname.
The law firm.
Law firm.
One of the best nicknames in history. Who do we want to? These are all pretty solid starts, I think. Who do we want to lock in?
Let's go with.
Let's not go Devontae Adams.
Right.
Because
go with Jacoby Myers.
Okay, the law firm.
Tight end. You guys like mine, right? Dutton.
I'm going with, I call him Turd, but that's not his name, Ferguson against the Eagles.
Just because he's Ferguson now.
Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson. Yes. Cowboys against the Eagles. That's
Turd Ferguson. I love it.
I wish you were wearing the cowboy hat like Burt Reynolds did when he was Turd
Ferguson.
That'd be amazing.
Faye, who are you starting? I'm sorry, starting.
I'm starting Dalton Kincaid. I know I told you to sit him last week, and he went absolutely bonkers. So I'm just going to stick with him and start him this time against Cincinnati, who, oh, by the way, is last in the league versus the tight end.
Yeah, oh, yeah, they are. You're right. And I'm starting Taylor Swift at the Dolphins because Kelsey and the Chiefs can't do anything unless she's there. So maybe on our European tour, it takes a stop by. And
she's going to Argentina. That's the problem.
Oh, I thought it was European.
No, first she's in Argentina.
I'm only a Swiftie by association. I don't know all this stuff yet.
All right, let's go.
I'm going to say Parnham, though, for real. I think Parnham scores against the Jets because the Jets let up a lot of touchdowns against the tight end. But who
I like Kincaid against the Bengals. Because most people are starting Taylor Swift against the Dolphins.
I really wanted to go with Turd Ferguson just to go with Turd Ferguson. No other reason. So reviewing. So we're going with Kincaid, though? Is that what we're locking? Okay. Yeah. So the review our starts of the week, the 3-and-out starts of the week at quarterback, Derek Carr, Ramondre Stevenson at running back, the law firm of Jacoby and Myers at wide receiver, and Dalton Kincaid at tight end. Let's keep rolling with the sits where we got one right last week as a reminder. Dutton, we'll start with you.
You sit Will Levis. There's a lot of hype around the guy. Yeah, he had 4 touchdowns. He's playing the Steelers in Pittsburgh. If you want to pick him up, but don't start him this week.
The Falcons, it seems like we're playing prevent from the get-go because
the whole game
they didn't believe it. But the only thing we knew about Will Levis is that he had a freaking cannon of an arm. Everything else about him, right? So why would you? AJ Terrell got burned by a 90-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, who I'm pretty sure on that long run he had a cane out, right? He's
and I'm pretty sure he also had offensive pass interference when he closed.
That one was, I saw that. Fee.
I am sitting Jordan Love playing the Los Angeles Rams just because he's bad.
It's over.
And I'm starting Geno Smith against the Ravens because it seems like the Ravens know what they're doing again. Who I would sit every one of these players. So who do you?
Let's sit Geno because he's probably the most likely to be starting on people's
he's probably the most. Yeah.
Right.
Running back, we'll go. We'll start with you, Fee.
I want to sit Tony Pollard against the Eagles. I know he's most likely a start for a lot of people, but he hasn't really looked all that great recently. The Eagles' defensive line, we talk about him every single week, one of the best in the league. And I just don't think Pollard gets on track this week. I think it's a Dak game, if anything. And I think they're going to have to throw the ball to keep pace with the Eagles' offense.
I think you're right about that. Dutton, go ahead.
I'm sitting Deontay Foreman against the Saints because you said to start him. That's not why I'm sitting him. I just don't think the Bears are going to be able to move the ball very much. I think the Deontay Foreman show might be coming to a halt.
Yeah, I wrote the Texans duo, and that's because it sounds like Dameon Pierce is. It sounds like he's closer to doubtful than questionable right now. Put it that way. So it could be Singletary, but either one I don't think are a very good start against the Bucs. Dutton, you already mentioned how good they are against the run. I also wanted to throw out Alexander Madison. It looks like Cam Akers is going to be the touchdown guy, but the Falcons, for all the fun that we make of them, have not allowed a rushing touchdown this year. So I wouldn't start any running back against them anyway right now. So who do we want to lock in?
I like the Madison sit.
You want to go Madison?
Yeah, I'm good with Madison. Yeah, that's a smart play. Why is the Falcons rushing defense? Are they that good? I don't understand.
I think everyone just throws on them.
Right. I think it's just that they get into the red zone and throw on them rather than try to run.
It was like last year when the Texans had the best pass defense in the league because everyone ran for 8,000 yards a gain on them. They're just like, yeah, we can run the triple option. We don't even need to throw the ball. Wide receiver, I'm going to tell you to sit Tyler Lockett, and the reason was I had no one else to sit, and I picked Geno Smith, so I took one of his wide receivers. So Tyler Lockett. Dutton.
I'm sitting Terry McLaurin against the Patriots. I think the Patriots defense is tough. I think Terry McLaurin has been very, very quiet this year, and I think he continues the quietness.
He's great when I put him on the bench. He stinks when he's in my starting lineup on the team I have him on. I'll tell you that. Fake.
Is he starting or on your bench this week?
This week, I have him on my bench right now.
Oh, he's going to go absolutely bonkers.
Bananas.
I am sitting Keenan Allen against the Jets. The Jets secondary is one of the best in the league. And now Josh Palmer has come on a bit lately for the Chargers. Yeah. So I don't know exactly how good their offense is going to be this week against the Jets because the Jets offense is terrible, which is going to give the Chargers a lot of opportunity. But I think I want to sit Keenan Allen this week just because of that secondary.
Who do we want to lock in? I don't know that I agree with you. I think Keenan Allen's going to have a rough week. I can't consciously sit him ever, though.
Yeah, me neither. That's why I like Tyler Lockett.
Okay.
Lock it.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it.
All right, tight ends. Dutton, you're sitting another one of my starts.
Yeah, I'm sitting Donald Parham Jr. There's a lot of hype around him. Like, people are going to pick him up because Ingram got hurt, right? Everett, I mean.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, it's the Jets defense. They're solid. Like, as bad as the offense is, the defense is that good, right? And I just think they shut him down. So that's what I'm sitting.
Yeah, so along the lines of the Wayne picks this week, I picked Dalton Schultz against the Buccaneers because I didn't really have anyone else I wanted to sit. So,
and I'm taking Luke Hargrave, and he's playing the Rams. And my reason why, as you can see, is because he sucks. I don't know if it's bad or if he just doesn't fit in that offense right, but I'm tired of these 3 receptions for 9-yard games that he keeps putting up every week.
He's the Green Bay guy. Is he the Green Bay guy?
It also doesn't help that whole offense is terrible, right? I mean,
right. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's not him, but it's not him right now in fantasy.
No.
Right?
So yeah, I'm with you. Sit him.
Okay.
There we go.
So your 3-and-out sits of the week: Geno Smith at Baltimore, Alexander Madison against the Falcons, Tyler Lockett against the Ravens as well, and then Hargrave against the Packers. Wait,
it's Musgrave.
Musgrave against the Rams.
Musgrave
against the Rams.
There are 3 of my sits in here, and I told you I haven't watched football in 2 weeks.
That's why we're sitting them. That's why we're sitting them.
All right, let's go with it. And gentlemen, anything else to add before we go?
No, good luck this weekend.
Nothing.
Yeah, all right, everybody, go win some money. Let's get Arthur Smith fired together as a unit. We'll see you next week on 3 and Out.